Peace, peace, peace. What it is your brother Tavon Sueno, aka the Orthodox Moor, aka the Seven Pillars Saracen. And in continuation of my honoring of Black History Month, I'm going through my Y-DNA distribution from my father's side, which is African, and my mother's mitochondrial DNA, which is Asian and whatnot. So I put together a quick presentation so everyone can see some stuff that I learned in linking up to the different tribes that link up to, and different peoples that link up to my father's Y-DNA and also to my mother's mitochondrial DNA. Now they both have autosomal DNA that's beyond just their Y and their mitochondrial. But this is just a quick glimpse at the people they connect to through their Y-DNA and through their mitochondrial. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen, family. And we're going to get this popping. I'm going to start off with my father. Shout out to my father. Love you, Pops. So yeah, this is the information I got back from my 23andMe. If you have not seen that video, I will link it down below. You can check out my run through of my 23andMe. I'll probably make a shorter version of that so you don't have to go through the whole thing because the initial video is quite long. But yeah, it's informative. So going on. My paternal haplogroup, E-M132, and its distribution in Africa. My 23andMe DNA results showed me that I'm a subclade of E-M132, which is EL94. It also showed me that my mitochondrial DNA is A2G. And when you go look at my results, this isn't my full 23andMe. These are just like my major breakdowns. West African being 43.1%. Total sub-Saharan was 46 plus percent. You know what I'm saying? I think like 46.2, something like that. But I'm just giving like the major breakdown. So it's saying West African 43.1%, Southern European 36.5%, Native American 13%, trace and unassigned DNA, etc. And like I said, it gave me my Y-DNA of E-M132 with the subclade of EL94 and my mitochondria of A2G. So this is what 23andMe had to say about the EM132. First off, it says that men bearing haplogroup EM132 were carried to the Bahamas in the transatlantic slave trade. And it goes on to say, your paternal line stems from a branch of haplogroup E called EM132, which is seen at low frequencies in the Bahamas on the islands of Abaco, Eleuthera, Exuma, Grand Bahama, and Long Island. This is likely a reflection of historical movements of African and Creole slaves before and after the abolition of slavery in 1807. Over 25% of slaves transported to the Bahamas during the slave trade were from West and Central Africa, which is consistent with the most common location of EM132. Lower numbers of slaves were taken from other ports in Africa, including those along the Gold Coast, the Windward Coast, and the Bight of Biafra. Many African ethnic groups were victims of the transatlantic slave trade, including the Fulani and Hausa, two groups in which your haplogroup are heavily represented. That is an interesting bit of information. And what I like is at the end, they tell me which groups I can go look at to see if I'm connected to them or whatnot. Or the fact that they let me know that these people have this particular DNA type. So right off the top, it's pointing me towards Fulani and Hausa, which is pretty cool. Because typically, a lot of people complain that 23andMe doesn't get specific with the results. They kind of give you just general regions and whatnot. So this is nice. So when I go look up EM132, this is some of the info that I found out. This is a map of the distribution of EM132. You can pull this map off of Wikipedia and whatnot. And EM132 is also known as EM33 and also known as E1A, just to be clear, which I state here. EM132 is also known as E33 and E1A. Its possible date of origin is circa 50,000 years ago. etc. EM132 branches off from EP147, which possibly originates circa 50,000 years ago, which in turn branches off from EM96 that possibly originates 65,000 plus years ago in East Africa, etc., or West Asia. EM132/E1A is found distributed throughout Africa and can be found in Sudan, Cameroon, Mali, Guinea-Bissau, Burkina Faso, Senegal, Senegambia, Ghana, and Morocco, etc. It can also be found in Italy and I believe Albania, etc. Which you can see in the upper part of the picture here. But you can see a heavy concentration in Mali. EM132/E1A has also been found among the fossils of the original inhabitants of the Canary Islands. That's over here, family, over this direction. So I'm just going to run through people who are connected with this haplogroup, from the biggest percentage down to the lowest percentage and whatnot, and just say a little bit about the people. The Fulani or the Fulbe carry the EM132 haplogroup from East to West Africa, and as a people, they possibly number from 25 to 65 million people. They're closer to the 65 million from what I understand, and potentially the second largest group of people in Africa, next to the Hausa, which number 80 million. The Fulbe of Cameroon carry the haplogroup at 53%. The Fulani of Sudan carried at 12%, and the Fulbe of Burkina Faso carried at 10%. Shout out to all my Fulani people. You know what I'm saying? Next up, we have the Dogon of Mali. They are also carriers of the EM132 paternal haplogroup. And the Dogon have a population that ranges from 400,000 to 1.6 million or more. And the Dogon carry this haplogroup at 45%. Shout out to all my Dogon people. I dig this one. Next, I have the Jola people. The Jola people are carriers of the EM132, and they can be found in Senegal, the Gambia, and Guinea-Bissau. They number roughly around 1 million people and are related to the Wolof. The Jola of Guinea-Bissau carry this haplogroup at 34%. Next, we have the Papel, Makanya, and Manjak peoples. They are carriers of the EM132. They can be found in the Gambia, Senegal, and Guinea-Bissau. Their number is over 500,000 people. The Papel, Makanya, Manjak of Guinea-Bissau, they carry this haplogroup at 20%. Shout out to all my peoples in Guinea-Bissau of the Papel, Makanya, Manjak origin. That picture on the right really gets me. That lady on the right, she got this real stoic look. You know what I'm saying? Like that's an ill picture. I like that picture. Oh, I gotta make sure I didn't skip one. Yep, thought I did. The Tali community of Cameroon are carriers of the EM132 haplogroup. The Tali community is located in southwest Cameroon. I don't have numbers on them, etc., whatnot. But they're carriers at around 20%. Shout out to the Tali community, you know what I'm saying? Here we have the Hausa people are also carriers of EM132, just like it says in 23andMe. The Hausa are the largest ethnic group in Africa at 80 million people. They can be found in Nigeria, Niger, Ivory Coast, Benin, Cameroon, Ghana, Chad, and Sudan. So just like the Fulani, they're from East to West Africa, and even North Africa, etc. The Hausa of Sudan, just in Sudan. This isn't. I wish they had this test more in more areas where the Hausa are, but this is just in Sudan. The Hausa of Sudan in East Africa, they're carriers of this haplogroup at 16%. Shout out to all my Hausa people. Next, we have the Nalu people. They are carriers of the EM132 haplogroup and can be found in Guinea and Guinea-Bissau. They number around 20,000 people. The Nalu of Guinea-Bissau, they carry this haplogroup at 12%. Shout out to all my Nalu people. I really like that black and white picture. That's dope. Next, we have the Wolof people, which were related to people previous on the list. The Wolof people are carriers of EM132, and they can be found in Senegal, the Gambia, and in Mauritania. They number around 8 million people. The Wolof of Senegambia are carriers at 12%. Shout out to all my Wolof people. You know what I'm saying? Next up, we have the Balanta people. They are carriers of EM132. They can be found in Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Senegal, and the Gambia. They number over 300,000 people. The Balanta of Guinea-Bissau, for instance, they carry the haplogroup at 12% as well. Shout out to all my Balanta people. And the Sahrawi are carriers, and these are people. This is a real interesting group, and I'll get into this on a whole nother video. Clicked it one more time. But they are carriers of EM132, and they can be found in the Western Sahara, Southern Morocco, Mauritania, and Southwest Algeria. They number over 500,000 people. And the Sahrawi of Burkina Faso, again, they're also found in Burkina Faso. Like they're found, I'm sorry, I forgot to put that there. I'll do that in a second. But yeah, but in Burkina Faso, like, so you see that they're in North Africa and in the Sahara, all the type of stuff, right? But even in Burkina Faso, they number 10%. They have 10% of the Sahrawi people with this haplogroup. So shout out to all my Sahrawi people. Yeah, that's a dope picture right there. I like that one. Next, we have the Ga, or the Gal Dangbes. They are carriers of the EM132 haplogroup. They can be found in Ghana. They number around 2 million people. The Ga of the Ghana people, they are carriers at 3%. Shout out to all my Ga people. And from my Moorish homies, I know you see my Ga homie rocking the fez. I'm just going to leave that one right there. Going further. The Fonte people are an Akan people and are carriers of the EM132 haplogroup. They can be found in Ghana and Ivory Coast. They number around 3.5 million people. And the Fonte of Ghana, they are carriers of this haplogroup at 3%. And on the screen is some very famous people of that are Fonte. So shout out to all my Fonte people. And this one I thought was interesting as well. The Egyptian people are carriers of the EM132 haplogroup. They inhabit the lands from the Siwa Oasis to the Red Sea. The Egyptian Berbers number around 1.8 million people in specific. And the people of Egypt in general are carriers of this haplogroup at 1.4%. So shout out to all my Egyptian brethren. So let me stop right quick. And that's the end of that one. So let me jump right into my mother's haplogroup. Oh, yes, my man talking about, yeah. So you're feeling, yeah. When I get into my Jedmax breaks down that I'm mad Fulani. Consistently. Which is interesting too, because like, so even when in the 23andMe, it stipulates, you know, let me, yeah, you can see it in my previous video where in my 23andMe, it states that the Fulani potentially originate in Western Asia or the Middle East, etc., whatnot, or I think East Africa and the Middle or West Asia is what it said, something like that. It's either East Africa and West Asia or the Middle East and West Asia, one of the two. But yeah, man. But yeah, let me switch up the setup right quick and get to my mother's haplogroup. Get back to the screen share. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, family. So here we go. Again, this is what I learned about my mother's haplogroup, maternal haplogroup, her mitochondrial DNA, or my mitochondrial DNA that I get from her, etc., and her mother's mother, etc. 23 let me know that they descend from haplogroup A. Again, my mtDNA distribution of haplogroup A. This is what 23andMe told me about A and A2 specifically. Though the Ice Age was beginning to retreat when your A2 ancestors first entered North America, there were still massive barriers blocking their way. Glaciers and inhospitable climate covered much of the continent, blocking entry into the interior. Nonetheless, researchers have found evidence that a wave of American founders migrated over 13,000 kilometers to reach southern Chile in only 2,000 years, a blink of an eye in the story of human migration. Their highway to the south was the coast of the Pacific, stocked with fish, diverse marine mammals, and other valuable resources in the rich kelp forests of the upper latitudes and in the abundant freshwater rivers near the equator. Because of this rapid movement south, the A2 haplogroup and its diverse branches are found throughout North and South America. So we're going to go into again the same way like I did with my father's group. We're going to go into the carriers of the haplogroup and their distribution from like a highest to lowest range. So first off, we have the Eskimo peoples. They are carriers of the A haplogroup. The indigenous people, they are the indigenous people of the circumpolar regions from Siberia to Greenland, and they number around 183,000 people. From Greenland to Russia, the Eskimo are carriers of this haplogroup at a clip of 96% to 70%. Shout out to all my Eskimo peoples. And next up, we have the Chukchi people. They are carriers of the A haplogroup. They inhabit the Chukchi Peninsula of Russia and number around 16,000 people. And they are carriers of this haplogroup at 68 to 73%. Shout out to all my Chukchi people. And again, just to be clear, my mother's not just Native American. She has a lot of Southern European DNA, which I also expect to be shown as parts of some sort of North African DNA and other DNA tests I have coming back. So she's mainly Southern European and Native American and a little bit of African. So she's not just Native American, just to be clear, but her mitochondrial DNA is. So that's why it's all going to look just the same way. Just like with my father, it's all African, right? But going further, we have the Bellicula or the Nuxalic people, excuse me. They are carriers of the A haplogroup, and they inhabit the Pacific Northwest coast, like it was talking about in the 23andMe breakdown. They inhabit the Pacific Northwest coast of British Columbia, and they number around 1,400 to 3,000 people. And they are carriers of in British Columbia, they're carriers of this haplogroup at 65.5%. Shout out to all my Bellicula people. This one's kind of close to home. My mother grew up right next to the Jicarilla Apache reservation in New Mexico, and she even at one point married into the Jicarilla Apache tribe. And like I said on my previous video, she actually has an Apache name, which I'll try again not to butcher. Like I kind of butchered the last time when I listened to it, but I'll try to say it better this time. Tehushlianti. No, I said it wrong again. Let me try it one more time. Tehushlianti. There we go. I said it better that time, which means she who flies free in the wind. I think it's a beautiful name. And growing up, my mother, in the area she lived in, she actually grew up speaking 3 languages. She grew up speaking English, Spanish, and then having to speak parts of Apache and whatnot. Like so, like when she was working at like as a cashier or whatnot, she'd be counting people's money back to them in Apache and that type of stuff. It was a very, very interesting place she grew up. But the Apache peoples are also carriers of the A haplogroup, and they inhabit the American Southwest. They number around 112,000 people, and they are carriers of the A haplogroup at 63%. Shout out to all my Apache peoples. Tanjo. Next, we have the Nahua people. They are carriers of the A haplogroup. They inhabit Mexico and El Salvador, etc. A few other spots. They number around 1.4 to 2 million people. And the Nahua people of Mexico are carriers of this haplogroup at 61%. Shout out to all my Nahua people. This one is also close to home. In my family, we know for a fact that we have a Navajo grandmother. We have documentation, we have pictures of her, etc. And ironically, like she's super dark skinned, or she was, just like the person in this video or this picture here. And she was taken from her people and whatnot, and had to grow up around a whole another group of people. She didn't get to. She was taken on like the long walk or whatnot, and eventually she had to live around the Apache. It wasn't around the Navajo anymore, and she was known to be a very melancholy person because of that. But the Navajo people. I was also adopted in to the Navajo by a Navajo auntie of mine, who taught me some stuff about the Navajo, etc. Whatnot. Shout out to my Navajo auntie, love you. Very beautiful culture, beautiful history, interesting stories, and all kind of stuff. But they are carriers of the A haplogroup, and they inhabit the American Southwest. They number around 340,000. They are the largest Native American tribe in the country. The largest individual Native American tribe in the country. And the Navajo are carriers of this haplogroup at 51%. Shout out to all my Navajo people. Yatte. The New Chanuls people are also carriers of the A haplogroup. They inhabit the Pacific Northwest coast of Canada's Vancouver Island. Very similar to what the 23andMe was saying about people coming down the Pacific coast, etc., whatnot. And they number around 4,600 people. The New Chanuls, they are carriers of this haplogroup at 45%. So shout out to all my New Chanuls people. Next up, we have the Aleut peoples. They are carriers of the A haplogroup, and they inhabit the Aleutian Islands and number around 7,200 people. And the Aleut are carriers of this haplogroup at 34%. Shout out to all my Aleut people, my Aleutian people. This one I thought was dope and interesting. The Tibetan people are carriers of the A haplogroup. They inhabit Tibet, China, India, and Nepal, etc. They number around 6.5 million. The Tibetans are carriers depending on where you test them. They are carriers of the A haplogroup from 5 to 25%. Shout out to all my Tibetan people. I thought this one was dope because when I was younger, I had a large affinity for Buddhism, etc. So I thought that was real dope. Next up, we have the Yi people. They are carriers of the A haplogroup, and they inhabit China, Vietnam, and Thailand. They number around 9 million. And the Yi people are carriers of this haplogroup from 10 to 25%. Now, I thought that was interesting when I found this out because in my 23andMe, as you can see, there is a small portion of my DNA that gets recognized in like the China. I think it was like the Mon Khmer type people or something like that, where it's basically like like China, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia type stuff. I was like, okay, this makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Very interesting. Next up, again, this is also close to home. Like, so the Apache, the Navajo, and the Navajo are in New Mexico, where my mother's from. Um, they live in Farmington in New Mexico, etc. Or the Navajo are in like Farmington, and the Apache are in a few different spots there. But that the people that are also there, amongst others, are the Zuni people. And the Zuni people are carriers of the A haplogroup, and they inhabit New Mexico and Arizona. They number around 19,000 people, and they carry this haplogroup at 15%. So shout out to my Zuni peoples. This one I also found to be interesting because growing up, I had an affinity for the Korean culture, and a few other cultures on this list as well. Like I said about the Tibetan stuff. I actually took Korean martial arts growing up. My father, ironically, when he was in the Vietnam War, he learned Korean martial arts from a Korean soldier. He taught me some growing up as a base, and then I furthered that into other Korean martial arts like Hapkido. And I'm really into studying like other martial arts and like Taekwondo and whatnot. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's like Korean capoeira. It's dope. Hadong Gumdo, their sword arts, all that stuff. I dig all kind of Korean stuff. I had a few Korean friends. Like there's little Koreas around me in my area and whatnot. I live in a very diverse area. You can go check out like every culture up here. And you know, as I'm saying this, I forgot to tell a story right quick. Like, what's interesting about this whole thing about like the MtDNA is I got a homie that talks about epigenetics, and he's probably in the chat. The good homie Anonymous, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the brother, you know what I'm saying? My mother, when she moved up here from New Mexico, okay, like again, so she descends from people who came down the Bering Straits from Lake Athabasca through the Pacific Northwest, and then eventually made it down to New Mexico, whatnot. At least on her mother's side, etc. Right? She had other people that came through from Europe, etc. Whatnot, but like her mother's mother people, they came that way. When my mom migrated to the Pacific Northwest, she said she had this overwhelming feeling of coming home. Like the place, like she'd already been here before, but she'd never been here. And on an epigenetic level, she literally had come here. She'd come through here before. What's even funny about it is her Southern European DNA, her Spanish DNA, and whatnot. The Spaniards were up here in the Pacific Northwest at one point. When you take Pacific Northwest history in Washington State, you actually you learn about that. I've actually gone to the forts where the Spaniards were up here doing their thing and whatnot. But yeah, I forgot to tell that part at the beginning of the story. My fault, family. But going further, yeah, the Korean peoples are carriers of the A haplogroup. They inhabit the Korean Peninsula and number around 77 million people. The Korean people are carriers of the A haplogroup from 6 to 14%. I think I'll say old. Next, we have the Japanese. They are carriers of the A haplogroup. I'm also big into Japanese culture. You know what I'm saying? Ancient and modern. Like I like their ancient culture. I like modern stuff like the anime and whatnot all day. The Japanese are carriers of the A haplogroup. They inhabit the islands of Japan and number around 125 million people. I've seen it also be up to around 129 million. But they're carriers of the A haplogroup from 5 to 12%. Next, and I think this is the last one, we have the Han people. The Han people are carriers of the A haplogroup, and they inhabit China and number around 1.4 billion. Yeah, I'm a fan of Han culture and whatnot. There's a lot of Han stories and that have to do with martial arts and whatnot that I'm big on, and folklore and whatnot, folk stories and whatnot, and actual folk heroes and whatnot. I'm a big fan of Han culture. I'm a big fan of Southern Han culture. And it's a shame to see it dying out. You know what I'm saying? And and there's a lot of people who won't know what I'm talking about, but for the ones that do, um, like Mandarin is becoming like the standard of Chinese language or whatnot. And there's so many different language groups in China, and one of them that's a fantastic one is Cantonese and whatnot. Like, so for instance, a lot of people watch like the Ip Man movies or Bruce Lee or a bunch of Chinese movies like from the Shaw Brothers and whatnot. And most of the time in those movies, you're going to be hearing Cantonese over Mandarin. If it's, you might see dubbed in Mandarin, but like a lot of times you're going to be hearing the Cantonese and whatnot. More of the modern movies like the Jet Li's and whatnot, like in the Kung Fu game, like that's Mandarin stuff. Um, and so that was a language that came in later and whatnot. Um, but yeah, like, so shout out to all my Han people, shout out to the Southern Han people, and definitely shout out to the ones that are keeping like the Cantonese and the Fukienese and all the other, like the Hakka language, like all the other the language groups of the people and whatnot alive. Um, Keeping culture alive is a hard one, and I commend anyone who tries to preserve their cultures in a respectable manner. But yeah, the Honda carriers of the A haplogroup from 3.6 to 9.6%. Shout out to all my Han people. Oh, this is the last one. Yeah. So we have the Yakima people. Again, they inhabit the state I live in, again, in the Pacific Northwest. This goes right along the lines of what the 23andMe was saying concerning the people going over the Bering Straits, coming down from there, and coming down the Pacific coast. The Yakima people are carriers of the A haplogroup, and they inhabit Washington State in number around 11,000. The Yakima are carriers at 4.8%. Shout out to all my Yakima peoples. So yeah, family, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. My next video, I'm going to be going into my Jed matches and also compare them to a Fulani brother and then a Somali sister. So a brother from Nigeria and then a Somalian sister in East Africa. And I think it's going to be quite interesting. I may even compare my results to a couple other apologists, the UA apologists that are out there who put their information out there. I'm going to get at GCon if he sees if he minds if I do a comparison or whatnot. Although I don't think he will, because we literally did a whole show in Debate Talk for You going over DNA and Jed matches where we were going over his DNA and his Jed match. So I don't think it should be an issue. But with that, family, stay tuned. I got more videos coming out concerning my DNA and other things in respect and honor of Black History Month. So with that, family, I say peace and love, and I appreciate you for coming through. And I'm gonna leave y'all with a cut, and I hope y'all enjoy.